we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. I'm your host, Asher, and our guest today is Vanessa and Danielle. And you guys gonna be surprised to know that we were just talking just now. A lot of us, we have so much in common. The military side, the military connection that we have is going on. We're gonna talk about that a bit too. But today's theme is around fears. And that's a theme for the conversation today. We're gonna share stories about our experience with fear, and it's kind of weave that across both you guys' stories and go from there. But we're gonna start with Vanessa, if you don't mind introducing a little bit about you to the folks that are listening right now, a little bit what you specialize in. Same thing for Daniel as well, but we're gonna start with Vanessa. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Asher, for having us on today. My name is Vanessa Donaldson. I am a military spouse of 27 plus years and counting. And basically, I'm working with military community in that space of transition, helping spouses find their new living purpose when they get out, because we're just as stuck and deer in the headlights as our service members getting out. And I also help veterans with their VA disability claims as they're stuck going through the VA. And if they don't want to log on and take 5 to 7 years processing it on their own, they can reach out to me. I'm an affiliate for a third party company called Re Medical, and I help process with that. And in the process of all that, I also do the van life because my husband likes to get out into nature, and I do too. But I don't want to fish and hunt with him 24/7. So we're usually somewhere in America. We've been to Baja, Mexico. We just came back from Canada and Alaska chasing bears, or the bears were chasing us, actually. So I'm happy to be in my cubby hole here on a real screen, taking a break from that. So that's why I do different things, for myself to empower myself and impact others. I don't need to be in the water all the time like him. He just came back from fishing, but that's his therapy. That's his therapy but I'm happy to be here. Thanks for
Wow,
having
that's
me.
that's incredible. Like I said, you are definitely living the professional homeless life, my friend. I love that kind of moving around kind of life you got going on because it's so relieving, it's so light, it's so easy to move. So I love that. And Danielle, talk to us about your specialty, my friend, where you hailing from too.
Okay, so I am Danielle Booher, and I live in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And I am a mom, a nurse, a podcast host, a life coach, an author. What, I missed something, a comedian, just a lot of different things. I help people with trauma and grief right now. I might change my specialty a little bit because I wrote a children's book in honor of my brother who passed
Mm.
away. So mental health is very important to me and advocating for it. And forgiveness also, like people forgiving, it's you don't understand how much happier you are when that happens. But anyway, so that's basically a little bit about me.
A little bit. We're gonna take that little bit, we're gonna make it a lot. So, but so okay. Speaking around the theme of fear today, and we know that fear, everybody have their experience of it, and some of us just navigate life a lot much easier with it than others. So thinking about your own journey, your traveling journey right now, Vanessa, and you and your husband being just moving around town, around the world a little bit. How is your relationship with fear right now?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Relationship with fear, because it is a relationship, and it's can either be stifling or open up doors and grow you to a different place. So I think just because the way I was brought up with a very progressive couple. I mean, my parents were black, white, so I was married into a biracial, setting in the 1970s.
Mm.
Things were still a little better, some places worse than others, but they got married in the 60s. So let's back up there. I mean, that was really progressive for that to be going on in Berlin, Germany. They had a horse and carriage wedding with a white guy in a tuxedo with a top hat that opened up the door for my black dad to walk into in that, carriage and go down the streets of Berlin to their wedding reception. Like that was not the normal setting.
Mm.
So I kind of have this very open mind about breaking barriers, breaking the class ceiling. I've just never been contained, and it's because of my upbringing, I think. So I just give you that background. So my relationship with fear, it could go up and down, but it's fairly pretty healthy. And I would say because I just don't linger it. You know, we all have a sense of fear. And I think in one of my trainings, I learned like there's like that fear when your heart is palpitating, the excitement. So there's a healthy fear boundary that's between, you know, stifling fear and excitement. And if we can tap into that excitement side of fear more, we can like launch into other things. If we're gonna go to the other side when our heart's racing and not step into that excitement side and go into the negative side, it's gonna turn us away from things, turn us away from opportunities, drag us down. So I like to stay in that excitement side and build that in my mind. Like, okay, I'm having a little fear here, heart's racing, but this could be a good thing. So the word I use today, I'll share for fear. The acronym would be like fortitude, F for fortitude, E for empower, A for achieve, and R for rapid transformation. So that's kind of take that fear and make it positive. And I've seen that in my lifestyle where I applied to college, you know, one place, I loved the place, went to the school, checked it out, did early decision, didn't really negotiate, get all worked up about what else is out there. I'm like, I like this place, I'm going for it. Joined the Peace Corps in Africa, which that has a lot of fear factor. Oh my gosh, imagine all of the dream killers out there. They're like, you're going to go to Africa and you're going to be attacked and have machetes, you know, and I didn't even think about that. I'm like, I'm going to go, my degree is international relations with a focus on developing countries. I want to go work and help developing countries get sustainable income and sustainable living. And
Mhm.
so I jump into that. So yeah, a lot of people might look at that like that was crazy. She's going to Africa. And I'm like, I'm going to Africa. This is going to be awesome. And then marrying into the military, there's a level of fear with that because you're not going to be in one spot. You better get ready to buckle up and move around and go for those, wherever those orders go, that's where you're going. So every step kind of just stepping into that fear again. And then now doing the van life after retirement. My husband's, you know, retired Marine. We love to explore and get out into nature, but that was a big fear factor after the pandemic. You know, we rented our house out and got in a van and drove off with no direction, no say, no phone apps, and people in the neighborhood are like, "Where are you going?" I don't know. What are you gonna do? I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go, and we have. And so every
Mm.
corner, every bend with that van has opened up so many more opportunities, so much better than just living the box life. You know, so I talk about you're in your box life and you're in your little cubby hole and you get in your box car and you drive to work, then you sit in your boxed cubicle and you do that, and then you do that whole thing back. And where do you end up at night? You end up in front of the box TV, doing the same routine, and then going, no, I want to have a little more to my life in this season. So maybe when my health fails more, I might be stuck more. But right now, if I can move, living in the now.
Keeping
So
it moving.
here, every time you do that more and more, you get more comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And with that fear. So that's
Mm.
my relationship with it.
Wow, sounds like you guys been hanging out a lot, and you've been putting it on the side when it needs to put on the side, put it on the couch when you go on the couch. But I saw you over there with your smirk on your face, there, Daniel. I'm curious to know when she was talking about the moving around thing stuff too. I'm thinking maybe your story might tie into this one. So, thinking through the lens of your relationship with fear, and you just constantly moving around to doing your upbringing. How your relationship right now with fear?
Yeah, it's all right. So I have grown a lot. So I'm really proud of how where I started and where I am now. Speaking of fear, the moving around was okay for me, but I lived with a brother with OCD, and that rhymes, and I didn't mean to, but always speak in rhyme. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, so we lived two different lives, but the same lives. So fear for me and fear for him was totally different. He was scared of everything because of this inside, right? And
Hmm.
so me, I loved it. I was like, oh, new people, oh, new experiences. I was on the welcome committee, like all these things. But I was scared on the inside, but I just acted like I was fine. I have really funny stories about fear, but I'm not going to go there. But let's just say one time I was left alone on a bridge in France. So there you go. You can think about what you want. I didn't speak French and my foot was stuck on the bridge and my partner left me on a field trip. Yeah. So anyways, yes, I was scared. I was very scared. But with fear though, I was scared of public speaking. And so I failed speech in high school. And then many years later, I've always wanted to do acting and I wanted to be a comedian and all this stuff. So my boyfriend was like, try it. So I went from somebody that was so scared to do speech that I failed to standing in front of people, becoming a speaker and becoming a comedian, and like just the progress that I've made. And so I tell everybody, like, face your fears. Like, I just did a video about it the other day, forgetting that we were doing this. Sorry, Asher, but but honestly, like, I did a reel because you have to face your fears. If, to a certain extent, be smart about it. Don't do something crazy. But yeah, so that's my relationship. I mean, I honestly have grown so much. And then you realize that it's so fun. Like, if you put the fear aside, and again, there is healthy fear too, because getting up on stage, oh, talk about your heart racing. But yeah, and so you get over it and you're like, this is exhilarating. And then you just, you grow and you learn, and it's great.
Wow. So when you was talking, one thing that comes to mind was like, if it's dangerous, you should just do it, right? If it's
No, I
dangerous.
said to a
No, she
certain
corrects.
extent, if it's safe. I don't mean like go into an alley by yourself and
Or jump off a bridge,
yeah, jump off a bridge
untie.
with no equipment. No, that's not what I meant. I said if it's safe.
I
Like,
heard that.
I
Yes.
said that because
She
I'm
put her
Mhm.
disclaimer.
Okay,
yes,
all right, all
disclaimer.
right,
I'm
all
not
right. We got that
advising
clear.
people
We
to
got
do
that clear.
crazy stuff like Danielle said. No, no, no. That's not
We
what I
we can
meant.
we can tell Daniel is a comedian. We're getting jokes already. We're getting jokes already. Okay, so what are some of your biggest failure? Not failure, I'm sorry. Some of your biggest fear there, Daniel.
My fears? Oh,
Biggest fear, yeah.
biggest fear. Well, I think that's funny that you said failure, because I think a lot of times we have a fear of failure. And that's why I was scared to try so many things, because you don't want to fail. You don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of people have a fear of a lack of control. So, like, if they're not in control, it's like, wow, I don't know what to do. You don't know what to expect. But my biggest fear, that's a good question.
Mm.
I don't know. I I don't like bats, but that's not what you meant. I'm pretty scared of. This is supposed to be a deeper answer. I know that's what you meant, but
I'll
yeah,
take you on our canoe in the alley. There's some bats there. We'll just go back and forth the canoe a few times. You'll probably
face
get
my
over your fear.
fears. See?
Mm.
I see the bats when I'm walking. And so, anyways, but
They follow you.
yeah, they do. Seriously, they swoop down like, hey, what's up? They know that you're nervous and they can feel the energy, like, I'm gonna get her, they're gonna tease me. Okay, sorry. But seriously, my biggest fear, I, I guess maybe, like, honestly, subconsciously, like failing or letting, like my family down. But I've really faced a lot of that by writing a book and doing all the kind of things that I thought that I wasn't even able to do, so
Mhm.
basically, yeah, face it if
Okay,
it's safe.
Danielle, you getting your laughing over there, I can see. If I had asked you that same question, what are
I
what
love
are
it. I
you
love the
what,
facial expressions already.
what is your biggest fear if you had to share?
Oh, for Vanessa, it's going to be a constant relationship, just like a marriage. There's no beginning or end. Like it just goes with different seasons of our life, right? So it's not like, okay, I've conquered that. I'm never going to have that. You might not have that fear in that one thing again, but there's going to be something else because we're human. So there's going to be something else around the corner that might bring us fear in a different season. Yeah, I know for a while, I think it was even fear. I think I have almost a slight fear of death, but I'm a Christian, so I know I'm going somewhere else, and that's fine. But my dad died around, his late 50s. So now it triggers me going, oh my God, I'm getting in mid 50s, but when I get up there in a few years, I'm going to be like my dad. He had a heart attack in his 50s. Like, is this
Mhm.
am I going to die in my 50s too? So that kind of thing, not really a fear. It doesn't stifle me, but it's something that just kind of catches me off guard. And then of course I'm like, my time is my time. My days, God knows the number of hairs on my head, like my days are numbered. But it does because of your experience. I lost a dad when I was 19 years old. Now I'm realizing I'm almost caught up to the age where he passed. So it just makes me have that introspection more. So the death thing a little, but not totally. It's just there in the background once in a while. There was a fear of like writing book and what I'm going to put out there. And again, if you're not in the circles with like-minded people that are encouraging you and motivating you, then people will bring you down. If I was
Mhm.
talking to even family members, like, I'm thinking of writing a book, who's going to reach you? I mean, it just goes on and on. I'm like, okay, I'm not hanging out in that space anymore. So,
Mhm.
I made it happen. So it's a book collaboration and there's 20 authors and I got 2 pages. It's nothing crazy, but I did it. And people have always said, write your love story for you and your husband. And it's
Mm.
I Love You, which is all about my husband and our love affair and meeting in the Sahel Desert when I was in the Peace Corps and he was a Marine security guard at the embassy there. I kept telling the story in snippets over time, and people would just say, "Where's your book? Where's your book?" And I'm like, you know what? Now I have something to show for it. I've got the story and I've got some photos going back to me with my braids and my Birkenstocks on in the Peace Corps. And I got over it. I stopped listening to people. I joined a group that were writing a book together. We had accountability and we got it done. Then I ended up in a newspaper thing, a military spouse entrepreneur guide. I'm like in spaces where I thought 2 or 3 years ago, like, I can't do this. Nobody wants to read my stuff. This is silly. And then you just step into it. When you step into one thing after another, you overcome it, and then there's something else. So constant relationship with fear keeps going. But right now, yeah, I don't know. Immediately right now, I would think one thing that came to top of mind too is just not trying, giving up too soon. Like when people
Mhm.
want to do something and it's like, you know what, I'll just stay in the status quo. I'll stay where I am. And I'm fearful that there's so much more I can impact, I can do, and I'm stopping when I don't need to be stopping. I need to keep going. Entrepreneurship is can be a lonely, hard journey sometimes. We're all in that space. So yeah, quitting too soon, that would be a kind of a fear too. Giving up too soon when I feel like there's more to give. And I look at the word failure too and replace it more with feedback. Every failure, everything that we have, it's like it's feedback. It's feedback for what didn't work then, and now we're going to switch it up a little and do it this way. So a little more positive wording, because Danielle and I are both life coaches. You got to get those positive words out there more than the negatives.
Mm. You said something to me that got me trigger some thoughts here a little bit. You were talking about your parents. Maybe your daddy said that left in his 50s, and then that kind of triggered something for you with your mortality piece. So I'm curious to know, like, how does it feel? Because my parents are still alive, so I was wondering, because I was listening to like even Bob Marley and his family and his son when his son was talking about like when they get to his age and it was surpass his age, what that felt like. Oh, my dad was this age when he passed away, blah blah blah. How that feeling feel like. So thinking about your story, your journey with your parents, and the fear piece that pops up for you when you think about their mortality. How does that feel for you, surpassing their age and keep moving? I just remembering when they was only at this age.
Right, surpassing like when my father passed away in his 50s and I was still on the planet, you mean? Like
No,
when I was
no,
19?
no, no, no. I'm talking about you becoming the same age as your dad and thinking
Right,
about,
I'm
oh, he
approaching.
left at this age. How am I gonna make it beyond this timeline, or I'm just made it at this timeline?
Right. So yeah, how that affects me is it pushes me into the positive direction of wanting to do more on this earth while I'm here, wanting to spread my legacy and build my community, build my people, build my family. Thinking I pray 7 generations deep into grandkids and great great grandkids that are not even here yet. I don't even have 2 married kids yet, but I've got a daughter who's got a fiance, so we're moving forward. So I think about the future. The closer you go on the other side, closer to death, the more you think about your legacy and what impact you're leaving with the world. What examples you're setting up for your children, what opportunities that you can provide for them. So I think about those things, and it just empowers me and motivates me to keep the course and keep doing what I'm doing, and just be kind of all in. I'm not like a lukewarm. It's like I'm in or I'm out, but you're not just going to see me in the middle, like just floating. I'm a presence, I'm a force. I'm either in all the way or out to something else. So
Hmm. What are your thoughts there, Daniel?
Well, I think that's you're so good, Vanessa. I like what you say. I'm just paying attention to you so much, like, oh, I'm on a show. No, just see,
no, you're good.
no, but yeah. So I kind of was thinking about what you were asking because my niece was 3 and 6 when her parents died. So 3 when my brother passed, 6 when her mom passed. And she is now 17. And so I'm thinking about her. It kind of just went into that space of like, how will she feel when she gets to their ages of 26, and I think her mom was like close to 30. But yeah, so a lot of times those things you can't change anything and you can't predict what's going to happen. So like you said, you have to live life to the fullest and just whatever, you can't you can change things, your health and all that stuff, but do the best thing for you. And you can't live in the past. And that's what I tell my clients. You can't change what happened, but you can make a better future, but you can't change things that happened in the past, you know. And I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. um but you can't fix those things, but you can try to make a better future for you. And if you constantly live in a state of fear or guilt or shame or anger or whatever those feelings are, you never know, like you won't reach your potential, like you won't even know like what you can do. And so that's awesome that you keep going and try new things. That's what you got to do. You never know what you're capable of or how many people you can help until you just do it. Right. So
Mm. Well, when was the last time you feel really afraid, Daniel?
really. Oh, so probably I'll tell you. My graduation from comedy, I was so afraid that I cried when it was my turn to go on stage. So they teed us up, so we had to go to a different spot, and the person before us was on stage. I was literally standing there crying with the lady, and she wasn't even our main teacher. Our main teacher actually was auditioning for AGT, America's Got Talent, at the time. So she wasn't there. And that was the first class that she missed was ours. And but anyway, so I'm standing there, and the lady, she's so nice. She helped me out so much. But I was like, I have a funny joke about it, but I won't say a bad word. But it's really hilarious of how I feel, which has to do with fear and anxiety. But anyways, it's one of my jokes. But anyway, so I was so scared, and I looked out at people that knew me and that came, which was really sweet. And I sucked it up, and I like was like, whatever, and then went on stage and did everything like I was supposed to. Nobody knew I was crying, except for they probably saw it. But they wouldn't have known if it wasn't an open area. But yeah, so and then afterwards, I'm like, oh, come on. I didn't have to be. I mean, but I talk about afraid. I was like shaking, and like my joke, a clean version of it is that it gives me so much anxiety. So I say, like, right now, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, poop myself, and pass out. That's one of my jokes. And so, and some people will scream like, don't do it. And I'm like, I got 3 minutes left. You never know what's going to happen. You know, so I, you know, but yes, that was my last time I was like, whoo, super
Mm.
scared.
Wow. Vanessa, I know you got
Wow.
one.
Yeah, there's something that popped up, but yeah, when you talk about the fear on the stage, people fear public speaking. No, they fear death over public speaking, right? Isn't that the main analogy? People would rather die or be dying somewhere than to get on a stage. So that is a
Mhm.
huge thing that you have overcome. So kudos to that. For me, it goes into a lot of my stories tied to the van life because that's the season I'm in. We're moving around a lot with the van, exploring different things. And when, they say even when you share stage with children or animals, they're going to win. They're going to take over. So yeah, I was sharing stages with animals in the wilderness, and I felt a fear when we were in the Kenai Peninsula of Alaska. We ended up in a campground, which is really hard to get to, but we got some spots for a few days. We have my mom who's 84 years old, so my lovely husband had to
Wow.
care for, an elderly. She said, "Take me to Alaska before I die." That was her
Mm.
fear dream thing they overcome. She said, "Just put me
Oh,
in a tent outside. I don't want to bother your guys' thing with the van and all that. I don't just put me in a tent, I'll sleep outside." Oh yeah, my 84-year-old mom sleep outside in Alaska with the weather and the rain and the elements and the wildlife. No. So we got her a little casita that we pulled her behind on, and then in California I put it up on like OfferUp or Facebook Market, and another veteran, military veteran, actually bought it. He didn't want to deal with a dealership
oh,
or anything, so we used it for 3 months, 4 months, sent it off almost brand new to another guy. But here we are on the Kenai Peninsula. I remember seeing a magazine too, and I thought the magazine marketing was a little off because it would show fishermen with their rods in their little fly fishing wetsuits, their what do they call them, waders, and they're holding that fishing rod, and there's big salmon in the picture, and then they show the bear in the picture, and it's like fish with the bears, and I'm thinking, this doesn't sound like a good thing. Why are they advertising this? But people go to the Kenai Peninsula to go to this one spot, this confluence. You know, if you've ever heard of a confluence in a river, it's like where there's water merging different ways, like brewing, and that's where the fish like to hang out between the flowing of streams going into a different body. There's a confluence, so there's a lot of commotion going, and the fish love that underneath, and fishermen love that, and bears love that. So here we are fishing in the Kenai Peninsula, and we started off all kind of together. And then my husband veered off and went back to land to help my mom to hook her a little worm on her thing or whatever he
Mm.
put on there, or lure. So he's helping her just in the river part, and I'm kind of alone in the main water part with these like big burly Alaskan guys. You know, they've got beards, and probably half of them were veterans. And you know, you'll hear like a boom boom gun, and I'm like, why is the guns getting shot off all the time? And then it hit my head. I'm like, oh, because I remember reading an article. People shoot at the bear, they shoot in the air when a bear's getting too close to get them to scatter. But that is like the worst case scenario that you should be blowing your gun up. Okay, people. So if you're in Alaska fishing, please use the pepper spray first. That's what the pepper spray is for. Like it gives a distance, it can affect them. But these guys were shooting off a gun. So next thing I heard the gun go off, and I'm like, okay, now I know a gun went off. There's going to be a bear moving someplace away from that gun. I hope it's moving in the woods or somewhere else. No, no, it was moving downstream where I was, where there are a few other people fishing. I could see it mad. Now it's mad. It's agitated. You know, something was shooting at around it, not to kill it, but just to get it away. It went through. They had this like orange, cheap, you know, fencing stuff like for construction that never stays up. And I'm like, well, what's that there for? That's not going to stay. Nope. He just kind of rolled right over the fencing. Next thing he's in the water. So everybody's on high alert in the rivers. You know, we're kind of up to our waistline with our rods. No one's fishing. They even have a fish cleaning station in the middle of there. I'm like, why? How can you have a fish cleaning station where bears are actively fishing and eating? Because they're going to be trained to go to this fish cleaning station where the carcasses and fish bones are getting caught off. But that was it. I stood there with my rod and I'm like, oh my God, this is like in the movies now. And this is my real life. And this is it. I'm going to die. I'm going to be on the headline news dying of a bear attack in Alaska. Like the heart rate went to a different level. I didn't want to scream. You're trying to keep calm. And I'm trying to get my husband's attention because he's busy with my 84-year-old mom. I'm like, trying to call over the waterway, but I don't want to make a scene and have the bear turn my way. And I start kind of moving where these other guys were, and then they all abandoned me. That wasn't nice either. They should have known there was a little lady in there that looked really scared to be like, hey, lady, hey, you know, the multiple force, more is better than one. Stick with us, move downwind. No, I just turned around and these guys were all gone. And I'm there all alone. And then just by the grace of God, I mean, the bear started coming in the water and then he veered onto land. Now, unfortunately, he veered next to my husband and my mom. So now I have a different kind of a fear. He's not attacking me, but he's attacking my people, my family. And he got right on land there. And thank God again, the Marine veteran, like I'm telling you, his life skills have saved us multiple times. So oh my God. So he ended up doing the right thing and doing the pepper spray, didn't shoot off on the gun like the other guys did. But I have it all on a little video clip too, because I'm watching now, like, what is going to happen next? Like, we are with wildlife. Like, you don't know what happens when you blink right or left. These bears are huge, huge black bear. And all I could see was my husband kind of turn this way. And later he told me, yeah, it was all these elderly people fishing and taking pictures of the bear like they're like in a zoo, you know. And he looked at all of them and said, everybody back up. Oh, behind me now. I'm about to pepper spray the bear. I need you all to back up and cover up. So you see this wave of people moving back behind him. It was like he was back in combat, very calm. And everybody went like this and covered up. And then he went very calmly. And then the bear just scattered off. And then we heard screaming in the woods because people were over there too. But all that adrenaline fear, like all that was within a few minutes. I probably take longer telling the story. That's how fearful it was. Like in my head, it played out like it was forever. But yeah, that
Mm.
was serious, you know, life-threatening emergency fear, adrenaline rush. That's what popped in my head when you say the last time I felt fear.
Wow. Well, you know, I'm listening to both you guys' story, and it sounds like you guys process your fear a little bit differently. You kind of you process yours with a little bit of joke there, there, Daniel, and then I can see also Vanessa. You got a little bit of fun too, but you also got the reality hit you sometime. But I want to go back to something we started talking about before we started going live. It's about Europe because we both all been to Europe, and I'm gonna throw it at Daniel first because Germany is a place that I really love. Like I really had a really good time in Germany. And I would love to hear you guys' story. We don't have to go down the fear lane first, but we can really go down a little bit of what Germany experience was like for you. So I'm gonna start with you, Daniel, because you was there, right?
Yeah.
And
So
how
I lived
how
there.
how do
Go
you end
ahead.
up there? Yeah.
So my dad was in the army, and he actually was a German linguist. So that's how we ended up there twice. And he actually speaks German really well still at 70 something years old. I'm like, go ahead with yourself. But
Mhm.
anyway, because he likes to show it off. But anyway, so yeah. So I lived there twice. The first time I really don't remember a lot because I was only 4, 5, and 6. The second time I remember a lot, and it was amazing. And I was on the welcome committee for our school, and we would go on. My dad was TDY a lot, or whatever it's called. So he actually had a couple of stations. So he was,
Temporary duty station, right?
yeah, so like something like that, yeah. So he would be stationed in Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany, but we lived in Germany. So he would be gone for a few days sometimes and stuff. But when he was there, we would go hiking and rock climbing and all that kind of fun stuff. And I loved it. And talk about fear. So we were in Italy,
Mhm.
and it was so cool because we were at the mountain that they filmed like Cliffhanger or whatever. And I don't even really know what that was because I was a kid. And I think he screams like Stella or something. so, so I was just running around acting silly, just screaming out stuff. We were playing tag. My dad tells the story a little bit different than I do, but we were playing tag, and somehow I ended up in the middle of the fire. I mean, literally in the middle of the so so my dad was telling everybody, and I was like, that's not how I don't remember it like that. But I thought we were playing tag, and he said we were playing football. I don't know what we were playing, but I was silly, and apparently I wasn't scared of that. And so that's how it was when I was little in Germany. And so like that's what I remembered. Like I wasn't really scared of a lot until I got older, and I let other people influence me. And that's 100% the truth. And that's what I try to teach clients as well. Once I listened to other people's opinions of myself or whatever, then that's when I started to build up all these fears of like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe this and that. But as a kid, like my family would get upset with me because whatever we did, I wanted to do the highest and the roughest and the scariest thing ever. And I'd be like, let's jump off the mountain. And so, and I did,
Mhm.
and I did it, and I like would rappel off and all that stuff. And not now would I do that. But yeah, so that was my thing, is that I thought Germany was the best thing ever. It was beautiful. We used to go to, on the river, and then go to the castles and all that stuff. And I'm very blessed and thankful that I had that experience as a child, because some people, and again, I haven't been back, but lots of people haven't experienced even going out of the country. So it
Mhm.
was really amazing, and I loved it. And it's very beautiful. Everybody should go there. Okay. They should. It's so beautiful.
No,
And you're
no,
German,
100%.
Vanessa.
Germany,
That's
Germany
cool.
is very beautiful. I loved it there too. And it was, and I love
Mm.
Heidelberg. I love that Mannheim area that I was at. I was in Kaiserslautern,
Yeah.
Mannheim, and Heidelberg area. That's what I kind of circulate around. But yeah, you
Mm.
shaking your head,
So
Vanessa. What were your experience like over there?
Oh my God, with a native German mother who lives in Germany, we can just pop her in the Zoom. She's hilarious. She's like a comedian, and she speaks English better than Americans sometimes. They learn their stuff to the T. So I grew up going through Germany since I was a kid. Every time my dad had another State Department tour, we'd go back. And so I'll give a couple memories of youth to now, but I remember my youth, we would go to the Catholic church on Sundays at the end of the road, or the Easter vigil service, like at midnight or something. And something with that incense in the Catholic church, the priest would walk up and down doing this incense thing, to just, I don't know, kind of like we would do saging and a spiritual thing or something. But this incense somehow, it like made me faint. I smelt that stuff every
Mhm.
time we can. I'm like, here I go again. I'm gonna faint. And I don't know what they put in there. I don't think it was ganja from Jamaica or anything, Asher, but whatever they put in there, it just had me faint every time. Like my
Wow.
mom almost had to carry me out. I had to get fresh air. And I'm like, what is going on? Maybe it was a spiritual warfare. Now that I think about it, think about that. Maybe it was Satan trying to get a hold of me. I don't know. But but yeah, I had this thing with the incense. So that's my church memory of Germany. And then I remember as we got older too, my two uncles, I mean, they're all German names. My mom is Ingrid. I have Uncle
Oh,
Heinz and Uncle Manfred, like all German names. They don't barely speak
uh-huh.
any English. As we got older, we really had to keep up the German, or else they're just like a lot of my uncle played like the jazz, and he had his little organ keyboard thing, so he was always on there. So we connected through music. I was taking a little piano, but he would take us bike riding. And back when the Berlin Wall was still up, because we were literally living on the
Wow.
East West Berlin town before the wall. My mom grew up with it all. She was a child of war, living out of, trash cans, the bombing going on in Nazi Germany. Her mom died in 1989, like a few months before the Berlin Wall came down. So her mom lived that whole thing as a single mom. My mom lost her dad in a concentration camp when she was 3, so she pretty much grew up fatherless. But the uncles, this is like normal way of life. Just like now, if we fast forward to Israel and bombings and all that, like it's a way of life for people that grow up in a war torn. So here we are riding our bike. It's not a way of life for like a girl going to school in Virginia, going to ride a bike along the wall with some guy with a machine gun pointing down at me. Like on the east
Mm.
side of Berlin were all the towers where, they're protecting their wall, and they had soldiers at the top of the tower. So that was kind of a fearful thing at age 12. But I remember riding our bike, and I always pedaled a little faster. We went through like a cemetery
Mm.
area, whatever. This was just Uncle Manfred trying to show us, get out, get some exercise, and show us the area. And it wasn't like a fun go around the Lake Geneva or Switzerland or something. It was looking up at those soldiers, and then I'm thinking like, if he's just having a bad day or something one day, he might just like, for fun, just like poke me up, just pop me off. I don't know. So that was kind of a weird way to grow up riding bikes along all that fearful German Berlin Wall. Um, but fast forward to like more fun stuff. My mom is in Bavaria now. She's left Berlin. She said that people have warmer hearts and all that in Bavaria. It's much more open, warm. I'm talking lederhosen. The guys run around with those
Oh.
lederhosen. The girls have the trundle dresses. You'll see the hats almost like Asher's wearing, with a feather sticking out, a leather hat with a feather, just a whole Bavarian thing. So that's where my mom's retired. She said, "This is my little piece of heaven on earth. This is where I'll die before I go to my maker." So we passed through there, and that's just like a magical little town with Christkindl markets. Reminds me of Christmas time. And Glühwein, now that we're adults. Have you ever had Glühwein, that hot wine that you get at the market? So it's cold outside, and there's,
I might have. I might have.
oh
Mm.
my gosh, you can make it. Google a recipe. I invite you to try, add it to your, Christmas menu next time. But you could do it like in a crock pot or whatever with just cheap red wine, and then you add orange slices and
Mhm.
clove stuff and the sugar ball thing, and you have this glue vine. But so yeah, I've got all kinds of nostalgia that goes back to Germany, and yeah, I'm hoping to go back here in the next few years, sooner than later. My mom won't move to the U.S. She said Florida too hot. I'm not sweating down there. So
Mm. Wow. No, what's showing for me right now, I'm listening to your story, and you mentioned your mom and the time period and your the soldiering stuff that you witnessed as a child. I'm curious. Was that a reason why you marry a soldier?
that had nothing to do with it. I was not even looking for love. Like I
Mm.
was doing my Peace Corps thing. I'm running around with my dreadlocks and my braided hair, my unshaven body, and my Birkenstocks. I mean, I was not presentable. I think I was maybe 20 pounds heavier because something about the diet. We ate millet and okra, sorghum. Like I have a chipped tooth because I've been into some rice with a rock in it. I mean, it was crazy times. But the guys that would go to the Peace Corps would lose weight. Whatever that diet was, they got so skinny. They were holding up pants with like straw bands and stuff. And the women, we all like blew up. Like we had like a board of all the new volunteers and everybody coming in. And 2 years later, we're like, "Who's that?" And you're like, "Oh, that's Katie." I'm like, that's not what Katie looks like. So I don't know what it was with the food there, but where was I going with that story? You got me on memory lane now. What was the question?
Oh no, why
Funny.
did you marry a soldier or a
Oh
Marine?
my God, the soldier. So I wasn't looking for love. I'm just setting it up. But what I think I did find out over time, and this has come over my self-growth and doing through some client coaching and some other it has come out that I like a man, I guess, in uniform. My dad was really well dressed, and he grew up in a poor Alabama, backwards town. Like I have just one picture of him, and I have so many questions for him that I can't get answered now. But I have this vision of a photo with like 7 or 8 kids in a picture. He had Cherokee Native American in him too, and all the kids were in overalls and torn clothes. Like nobody had anything together on. It was all ripped and torn. They were all barefoot. It looked like a cotton field behind him. My maiden name is Gray, which we've gone through the van through my husband's or my dad's town and saw Gray Chapel, Gray this, Gray that. So it's really big, probably the slave owner's name. So, but they've got a big presence there. So, but my dad, I think once he ended up in Boston College, he was one of the first, I guess, probably Black people after the army to go to school, graduated magna cum laude in accounting. I think he got into this whole State Farm thing. Like he realized people would not treat him as well, treat him with respect. It's unfortunate we're looking at people from the outside, right? Not inside the heart. But he had to deal with that every day. And in the 60s and the 70s, my mom tells me stories when they were first married. She had to go into the hotels in the front and check them in wherever they traveled. My mother was the one that was the face, went to the front office, checked them into the room, and then my dad would walk through the kitchen and go up the, the staircase or an elevator incognito, because if he went to check him in, they would say like, no, no, we don't, there's segregation and there's no room for you here. So this was kind of normal for my mom. This was their etiquette, which is crazy. But my dad, I think, dressed up. I mean, three-piece suit iron. It's all I envision in my mind. Always dressed to the T. He had those little cufflinks, probably with his initials on them. Everything was iron and proper. The tie with the little pin. And I think it was to show the world, like, you respect me when I'm talking to you and looking at you. I'm dressed this way, so don't treat me like, I'm a peasant and I'm a poor little boy from Alabama that has no future. So I think that whole dressing and iron Christmas somehow transferred. My one little high school crush, he was in ROTC and he'd come, to school once in a while in that uniform, and I don't know what it was. And so the Marine thing too. Yeah, I saw the uniform, and my mom always joked and said, "Did you love the man or the house he was in?" Because I was living in a mud hut, and so I'd go to the Capitol, and they had a swimming pool and they had a pool table and hot dogs and hamburgers, and she'd be like, "I hope you're not. Do you really love the man, or do you love everything that comes along with his lifestyle, in the Capitol?" I'm like, I think I'm falling in love with the guy, like the character thing. But yeah, and people were always mentioning him and like, "Oh, have you seen his pecs? Oh, look at his calves. Look at that guy." It's like I didn't even recognize any of that. I just saw this really genuine guy that seemed like he cared for humanity, cared for people. At all the parties, he's off with the kids making water balloons. He's not at the bar trying to pick up the. He just did things a little differently, and it caught my attention. But then when I saw him in the uniform, and then the more I grew, you fall in love and you grow in love more and more. I mean, we've been married, what, 27 years now, and it's amazing. Like I still see this guy in his dress blue uniform with the red pinstripe there and just looking like, and it's like, speechless. So yeah, there was something with the uniform, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I don't think it was, my dad, I didn't see him in a uniform, but it was some connected maybe to my father being very well dressed and showing up proper for events and being, you know, just dressed to the T, ironed and put together so that when you show up for the world, they're there, they will see you and they will maybe give you some kind of respect and appreciation and personal bubble space or whatever you're doing.
Wow,
Yeah.
Vanessa. Well, I gotta say, I believe you, Vanessa. I believe you. I don't know, Daniel. Do you believe her? Tell me, do you believe her?
Of
What
course
are
I
you what are you
would.
thinking over there? You believe the Vanessa?
Yes, I think she she loves not the uniform. She loves the man inside the
Uh-huh.
uniform.
Is that true?
But 27, that's awesome though. Congratulations. That's a
Yeah.
long time.
If it was just the uniform, that would have left a long time ago. So
That's
you're right.
right.
The man inside the uniform.
But
Yeah, the
I do
uniform
want to
helps.
I do want to congratulate you, Vanessa. The 20 something years is a very long time, so congratulations.
Yes.
And because a lot
Thank
of
you.
a lot of
Working hard.
folks don't understand about military marriages and family structure. It breaks down really fast. It doesn't last a
Hmm.
lot. We have
Real
like the
fast.
highest divorce rate in the world. I mean, I'll say in the country is military families. They don't last that long. They all get breaking up. But I believe you. I know. I was just messing with you a little
Takes
bit. And I
faith.
and I,
It
and I
takes
figured
faith.
Daniel probably got some jokes since she's a comedian. She probably get some jokes on that one.
No, my parents are divorced. So when you're saying, and it was right at the end of my dad's I think he was almost in 16 years at that point or something like that. So so yeah, I get it. Like I remember I have a lot of stories of that and I feel bad for spouses because it was it's rough. Like I said, my dad was gone for days and then he was in Korea for a whole year. And so, it's a it's a lot. But I mean it's hard on the kids as well. But if that's your partner and then you're doing everything alone, I've been a single parent, not the same thing, not military wise, but I've been a single parent for years. So and that's what it is when it could be the the husband staying at home that's not in the military, or the wife staying at home that's not, and it's a lot. I mean, it's a hard work and a lot of dedication. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to you too, Vanessa. But anyways, okay. But
Thank
I
you all.
believe her.
No, but that was a beautiful story from both you guys, especially when I'm thinking about you're talking about your husband and the dressing up and stuff, and it does show. I love the uniform. I mean, I did 22 years wearing it, and I see how people
Thank
look
you for
at
your
you in.
service.
Oh yeah, of course,
22 years in the
22
Army.
years. Yeah,
That's how I
Thank you
ended up
for
in
your
Germany a
service.
few
You're
times.
awesome.
you guys was worth the sacrifice, totally. So we go out there, we do it, and I love Germany. It was my one of my favorite assignments. Not my top one, because Cuba was my best assignment in the
Oh,
military the whole time I was in. Cuba was the best one. But Germany and Hawaii was top on my list. Those two locations was really, really awesome. And you guys have been to
Mm.
both, actually. You've been to Hawaii
yeah,
and
that's funny.
yeah. Tell me about your experience in Hawaii, there, Daniel.
It's not going to be a fun story because I don't remember any of it. I left
Wh- wh-
when I was 2.
Oh, you left when you were.
I left when
Lifers.
I was 2. Yeah. So apparently, I like to surf, which I thought that doesn't sound very safe. They would be like, when you were 6 months old, you were on a boogie board, and I was thinking, what? This ship me off into the ocean and hope I come back. See ya. No. And then I was talented if I could boogie board at 6 months old. But yeah, so it's really actually the pictures are fond memories for me because my brother was born there as well. And he passed away almost 14 years ago, but we were only 1 year apart. So when
Mm.
we left, he was a baby. And so that's the cool memories is looking back. My cousin came with my aunt and uncle. My uncle was stationed there. My uncle did 30 plus years. He was like a lieutenant captain. He was very high up in the army. So he retired there. So he was my great uncle, my grandma's brother. So my grandma and grandpa came, and then we were hanging out with my great uncle a lot. So those pictures are really cool. So that's the memories that I have is just looking at them, and it's beautiful there as well. But that's
Mm.
my not fun story about that. But
And I see Vanessa got her roses in the left ear, so I know she know about the
yes,
symbolism of that stuff. Talk to
wait.
us a little bit about your experience in Hawaii, there, Vanessa.
Oh yeah, the road. Like you have to remember my plumeria. I can't remember because it's been long, but one side of the ear is single available and the other side is married. And then when you're
Mm.
on a camera, I'm not sure what's going on, but I
So,
am
so
married.
yeah, so left side is married, right side is just like the wedding band on your finger. So left side is married, right side is single.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I never put it together. Wait, so left
Mm.
side is married. Oh, perfect. Oh, thank God. I'm usually wearing it on this side, so I'm wearing it on the right, on the correct side, on the right side, which is the left side.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so and people think I'm Hawaiian sometimes because the flower and all that, but this is
You
just
do
because
look Hawaiian. Yeah, I was thinking
I
that too at
well,
first.
it's that culture. I lived in, Brazil when we were younger. The people who were speaking Portuguese to me lived in Tunisia, North Africa, one of my dad's assignments. That's a very,
Cool.
multi-ethnic with Mediterranean Sea. So yeah, Hawaii, I kind of fit in there, but I didn't speak like the Hawaiians. They knew pretty quickly after I opened my mouth, like, she's not local. She just looks a little local. But yeah, I say I have the flower because my tagline, one of them is I help military spouses bloom wherever
Mm.
they're planted
Aw.
wherever we move or whatever. And the story was just in Florida here. My husband found a pink plumeria from our tree and brought it in to me once. I was on a call or something, and he just dropped it off. Sometimes he's putting flower arrangements around the house. He has his romantic streak too, which you don't know what you get sometimes when you're married. Bonus.
Mm.
So yeah, he brought the flower. And then the problem was with the heat and the humidity and the melting. And I'm on these calls. I was doing a training call actually for life coaching. And next thing I got called on screen, I raised my hand for digital hand and I got to ask a question to like the head guy, which Vishen Lakiani, it's Mind Valley, and like the guy under him that was doing the training, Ajit was his name. They popped me up and I leaned in and I'm like, so my question is, and all I could see was my flower. And the pink flower had now melted and almost tattooed to my face because of the heat. And then everybody's kind of looking in. You could see like 20, there's like 200 people on the Zoom call. And I leaned in more and said, oh my God, my flower's melting. And then the chat just blew up with like, flower girl, pretty girl.
Mhm.
So it always stuck. And I said, I'm going right online because I love the flower thing, but I can't have melting tattoo flowers going on. But
Mm.
that's a backstory for the flower. But Hawaii, we were coming on, I don't know what duty station that was. It was a happy and lonely time because, they say when you go to Hawaii, like, be prepared, your guy will not be home very much. It's a deployment spot. It's like they come and go. So it was, I felt like I was in paradise as a as a single mom, and I'm watching people going to, it's a wedding destination, right? So lots of beach weddings, people going together, always like wedding dresses and honeymooners, and and I'm in Hawaii in paradise alone with the children. So that took a little getting over. But aside from that, I got really involved at that time with the school. It was more expensive to get a job and put my kids in daycare. So I'm like, no, not doing that. So got really involved with, volunteering at the school. Found you can always find your living purpose so you don't stay in your little negative mindset. And my poor me in my world, get out and help somebody else. And you'll forget
Mhm.
about yourself a little and your troubles. So just got really involved with the community, and did stuff with the kids at the school, went on field trip stuff and met the people. Got our son played baseball on a local like Samoan team, which I'll never forget. Coach
Oh.
Tusi, he must have been 400 pounds Samoan, like the guy that sings,
Mhm.
Over the Rainbow. And he would pick up the kids because they didn't all have rides or whatever. And so school pickup, he would pick you up with his pickup truck, beat up pickup truck, and throw all the kids with their little baseball outfits and their bats, and off my son would go to Waimanalo, which is like on another side of Kailua, for practice with Coach Tusi, whom you could
Mhm.
barely understand. He kind of spoke this pidgin English, and I'm like, how the kid? But like my son was a little smaller and he was a natural athlete. So he just kind of body language. He'd look at the guy like, okay, I think I know what I'm supposed to do. But I watched him drive off in that van, in that pickup truck, beater pickup truck with Coach Tusi, and he's got like 8, 10 little boys in there. And I'm like, is this legal? Is this a good thing? Would they be doing this in like the US side, like putting our kids in the back of a van going down some side road for softball practice? But that was the Hawaiian way. I mean, my mom came to visit and she was probably in her 60s then. She joined a nature hiking club called Soul Shoes, or Soulmates. So instead of SOUL mates, it was SOLE, soulmates, because they're walking with their souls. So that was they're probably still around. And she'd come back out of the jungle like with hair sticking up, and they gave her like a little machete thing, and she sometimes covered in fire ants, or she got poison ivy once. And I'm like, Mom, she'd walk in the door. My husband's deployed, and she'd come and help me with the kids. I'm like, how was your day? Wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm like, you're covered in what, dirt and mud. And she's got the machete, and she's like, yes, I have to use machete today. So they created their own trails, and they would go hiking on these spaces, and we had some hiking trails behind our house too. So always magical to walk to a top point of a mountain by maybe like the Leaky Highway. They have all these, it's like pigeon English, not the like. My husband wasn't there long enough to get the wording. He's like, I think I'm on the like highway. I'm lost. Where's our home? I'm like, no, you're on the Leaky Highway, not the like. But you get to the top mountain point and you look down and you see that beautiful ocean water and all that. So
Mhm.
just beautiful memories of tight community with the base ladies when our husbands were gone, and creating our own happiness in an island living where nobody was coming really to visit or go, and we just were there, just immersing into the local culture, eating lots of pig out of the ground and Kahlua pig, and oh, good
Mhm.
stuff, good stuff. He's dreaming. Asher's lost. Lost. Wake up,
I know
Asher.
you took me back, Vanessa. You took me back, man. Oh my God. It's one of my favorite places too. It's really I remember the first time before I went to Hawaii, I was in South Korea. And I was in South Korea, my unit deactivated and it was like, oh, we're moving the unit to Hawaii. We deactivate and go reactivate back in Hawaii. I'm like, I don't want to go to another island. I just left Jamaica not too long ago. I want to get to the big mainland somewhere, whatever. I want to go back to Europe or something. And it was like, nope, you're going to Hawaii. So I got to Hawaii and I swear to God, I was depressed for like 6 months.
Oh.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't know. I mean, I know some folks there, but I just didn't activated my island genes yet. I'm like, ah. But then I started going out, started meeting friends, started doing stuff, started hiking, started playing around and stuff. And man, I didn't want to leave. I ended up spending 6 years there. And
Oh,
a
wow.
normal tour is 3 years. First, first I was there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to extend for another 3 years. They were like, nope, denied. I'm like, okay, I gotta pull this off. So every year I do like a year extension. I'm like, okay, boom. So the first one they said yes. I'm like, got 4 years in. I'm like, okay, another opportunity. Let me do another extension. I do another year extension. Like, another one I got. So there's another one. And it's like, give me. So I end up spending. I mean, I spent 5 years in Anna because one of the last year I went to Cuba for the last year, but I ended up being assigned here for 6 years, and it was like one of the best time of my life. So I
Hmm.
really love
Isn't it
Hawaii.
Isn't it funny they don't give you your first duty station? When we were in Africa, we were in Conakry, Guinea with the kids too. And then the next list, we looked for anything in Europe. I said, oh my gosh, we're just a plane ride right to Europe. I want to get close to my mom. Let's pick whatever in Europe. So we were going for Tbilisi, Georgia was the only
Mm,
thing I could find. We didn't get it, but I knew a lady I was running an American business. It was called English Speaking Women's Association. We were doing all these charity organizations. I went to the bathroom. They voted me in as president. And like, what are you doing? Don't never leave to the bathroom during an election. But this woman was from Tbilisi, Georgia. So when I would go to her house, I saw the most amazing pictures on the wall. And I'm like, where is that? She's like, that's my homeland, Tbilisi, Georgia. Georgia? I only know Georgia in the US. Like it.
mm-hmm,
So we put that on our duty station list. The last spot we did, number 5 choice, I remember was Trinidad and Tobago.
mm,
Port of Spain, Trinidad. I'm like an island again. I'm like, I'm trying to stay close to my mom in Europe. Let me just don't put me on an island, just like you just said, Asha. What did we get? Trinidad and Tobago.
mm-hmm,
So I wonder sometimes if they're playing with like, let's look at the wife. Oh, she looks like she can fit in there. So yeah, I was liming away in Trinidad and Tobago. We were doing carnival a year and a half. I ended up working for Centers for Disease Control, doing all these age initiative programs with the schools. I mean, you just create your community and make it happen. But
mm.
yeah, wanted to do close to my
Tbilisi.
mom. Ended up, I got the island thing like you.
Mm. It's interesting you mentioned Tbilisi because I was there for like a month. I think I did a month tour in Tbilisi, Georgia. It's actually really pretty. Oh my God. You was talking about lady always beautiful. That place is amazing. I'm not sure if it's the
Yeah,
same thing today, but I don't think it got messed up doing this little conflict we got. But Tbilisi, Georgia is beautiful. Beautiful, amazing place. Nice, nice, nice. This nice infrastructure. Okay, Daniel, we gotta wrap up now because we gonna stay here and talk for hours because we got so much in common, so
Yes.
much in common. We all military affiliated, and we just been traveling around the world a lot too. But we gotta wrap up now. You guys, I know. Vanessa, you say you do some stuff for the military. So could you explain what you do now to really be a hero to folks in the world right now, if you don't mind?
thing to end with. But yeah, so a life coach for military spouses, just kind of helping them with their transition. We're just as shell-shocked when the guys get out of the military. So helping them with their walk, their next journey, their next passion, just to make sure they're blooming wherever they're planted. And
Mm-hmm.
then on the other side, on the veteran side, just helping with those VA disability claims. So I'm an affiliate for, I think I mentioned before, re-medical services. And you could go through the process yourself and open up that website for the VA and, cross your eyes because there's like so much information. You don't know where to click to start your claim, even. You don't understand the rules. And it takes probably like 5 to 7 years now to go through it on your own. And then you wait. Imagine waiting that long to get a denial letter.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can move a little quicker with us, and I help them get through the process with my team with Remedical, probably in like 4 months or so. So we just help them with that stage if they already have service connected disabilities to see if they rate an increase. Some do, some don't, but it's worth a complimentary consultation. I mean, I do a complimentary audit, and that's what I'm offering to here, and for your people, any veterans on the line from the US. You can reach out to me and I'll look over your disability claim and just give you, an honest opinion of if your rating can go up, where you're at, if you need to do some more things on your own first before we can step in. And that's what I'm there for. And then I also help with other financial supplemental income things, streams for people that want to have, supplemental income in retirement. Because what I don't want is veterans getting out and having no plan. What I don't want is them getting out and having no income and ending up homeless. Like, the suicide rate is still going up more and more. When you call the 1-800 VA line, literally the first recording message on there says, if you're considering suicide, please hang up and dial 911. That's how the VA answers the phone. It's like a horrible present, like, okay, I just want to call. I have to, have a question about some education for my son or something. If you're thinking of suicide, like, really, do you have to put that in the forefront? Like, it's just all backwards and upside down. So I don't want, I want to help be on the side of positivity and preventing suicide. So this is the way I can do this. And when I see those vets get the disability rating they deserve, and it's helping with their income, it's helping with their family balance, all of that, it's just so rewarding to be a part of that. So that's what I help with. And then there's another financial thing I do with like legal shields. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in that space to help vets succeed and their families, thrive in retirement so they can just kind of get a second chance at living life on their own terms without the military telling you what to do, where to go. And of course, if you want to join the van life community, I have a
Mm-hmm.
Facebook group for that and can help you dream your way to your van life reality. Whether it's some people like, I'm not going to go live in a van for that gypsy. Well, Some people, you don't have to live in it full time. You can do part-time, you can do seasonal, but when you add nature into your world and you see that whole open perspective of getting out into nature, getting off the technology, getting off the digital stuff, sharing that legacy with your kids, there's a lot of, positivity and health benefits that can come out of that too. So I say charge your soul, not just your cell phone. I'll
Mm.
pass it on.
And what's the fastest way they can reach you?
So fastest way would be my website, resetwithvanessa.com. So reset, reset with WITH, and then Vanessa is VANESSA. Resetwithvanessa.com. I've got all my socials and drop downs there. Just click on whatever you're looking for and send me contact information. I'm happy to help have a conversation.
Excellent. And over to you, Danielle.
All right.
We have you been on you was a spectator for a while. You was like, I'm enjoying this conversation. I'm watching TV, right? No, but
Ping pong match. No, I'm just
big
joking.
pump. So
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
talk to us about wrap up. We're gonna wrap up a little bit so all folks can reach you and what you specialize in right now, just to kind of reset. All right.
Okay. So I am, like I said, a speaker and a life coach, and I focus on grief and trauma right now, and allowing you to forgive yourself and others and be able to move on and become happy and live a fulfilling life again. So I wrote a book, and like I said, in honor of my brother, this is the book, Inside CJ's Mind.
Nice.
And so I'll be speaking at schools soon, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to expand my coaching to 13-year-olds and up. Haven't really done that yet, but that's what I want to do. The book is, that's kind of the age range is 11 and up. So I'm having a book launch event in Georgia. If anybody's interested, and you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. My website, my coaching website is like being worked on right now, but it really is. I need to. I thought it was done, and I was going to share it, and I was like, oh, it's not right. But you can find me on Facebook's probably the easiest, Danielle Booher, or Instagram is Danielle Booher 82, and all my links are there to reach out to look up any of my podcasts or life coaching or whatever, or if you want to watch my comedy from before, whatever you want to do. But yeah.
What's the name of your podcast?
So authentic points of view and turning trauma to triumph.
Mm-hmm. I like
Hmm.
it.
I forgot I have a, what is it, YouTube for your life beyond the military with military stories. So I got to get with Danielle maybe and do something in the future with our youth since you're tapping into that space. Our youth have an
Yes.
unheard voice, and so need to work on
Yes.
it too.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
interesting. See, I know there was a connection here. The universe put you guys together. Because I swear to God, this is like a really random. So people that are watching, so my schedule is, I mean, I just share with other people and people book. So I have the maximum of two people can book per time slot. And I've been getting people that are just like coming on the same time, and they're like so much in common. I'm like, wait a minute, like what is the universe doing? Like you just, it's crazy, but I love it. I'm like, I'm gonna keep watching where this going at, see who keep connecting through these bookends and see who will show up. And you both are very funny, by the way, very funny.
Thank
And
you.
it just so
We
happened
can
that
laugh or
I had two
cry.
comedians here with me today. Huh?
I preferred laughing over crying, so I'm like her, but I haven't done acting and
But
getting on that stage and all that stuff. But
You put-
laugh therapy, it's a real thing.
But sometimes people laugh and cry at the same time. What you do about that? Huh?
I do. That's why I don't wear makeup because I do laugh and cry literally at the same time. I can't do mascara.
me too. My dad used to call me square mouth. That's a true story. My brother and my dad used to call me square mouth because I would go, I can't do it now. That's true. It's very true. My dad probably doesn't like me to say that because he's such a cool introverted guy, but that's a true story. Yeah.
All right, Danny. What is your biggest takeaway before we wrap? What is your biggest takeaway or giveaway right now?
Basically, don't ever give up because you got this. If you quit, think of all the opportunities that you could miss. That's my I wrapped my intro. If you listen to my podcast, Authentic Points of View, I wrapped the intro and I wrote it. And that's the last line of it. So that's what I like to say. Don't ever give up. You're capable. You can do anything you put your mind to. And you're worthy. So don't give up.
Vanessa.
I'll just expand on that one line tag I said before with charging your soul, not just your cell phone. We are so driven to everything on the phone now. They say that kids now, if you do a survey with them, where does holding your cell phone and using your cell phone in relation to breathing air, like where's it? It's like together. It's the same thing, having the cell phone and having breath of
Oh,
life, like that kind of level. So, yeah, charge your soul. Find out what you're passionate about. What gets you up in the morning, what you get excited to do, because that's the space you want to build and expand. If you're getting to work every day in your box car and your box life and the box TV and you're like miserable, and then you spend time telling people how miserable you are with your job and all that, you have a choice. Make a change. Maybe you're changing your whole career. Maybe studied one thing in school, but you realize, oh my gosh, I'm really good with my hands. Maybe I need to look at some kind of trade school. Just be open, whatever season you're in, to are you happy when you wake up with yourself, like Danielle said, look in the mirror and feel worthy and say, I love you. Can you look at yourself and say, I love me. I love my eyes. I love the way this wrinkle is like, do an affirmation like that in the mirror and charge your soul, not just your cell phone, because life is not a dress rehearsal, guys. We only have one life, so live it full and
mm.
big.
You know what? Before I just thought of something else. I'm gonna bring back my closing question that I normally ask. Because before I start doing live, I used to ask them all the podcast. And that closing question is, I'm gonna start with Vanessa, and then I'm gonna close off with Daniel. So the closing question normally actually is, what is that one thing or two thing that when people do it, it drives you crazy? If you had to share what that is.
Ooh, one or two things that drives me crazy.
When people do it, it
One
drives you
thing.
crazy.
Yeah, I would say like when you commit to something and you don't show up and don't fall through, like I know there's extenuating circumstances. I've been late to a Zoom call or missed an appointment and all that. But if it's like a pattern where it's someone that you're like you can't rely on because like, oh yeah, if I ask them, they're not going to show up, they're going to have an excuse, they're going to back out. Like if you say it and you're going to commit or help somebody, then just, show up and follow through with it.
Mm.
So that kind of drives me crazy when people just leave that hanging and they don't think much of it. It's just like, yeah, didn't make it, whatever. It's like that's like character stuff, you know? So yeah, it drives me crazy.
Okay. Daniel.
Mine is lying and being fake. If what I mean by being fake is, well, I'm a nurse, so there's a lot of fake nurses. Oh, that's not nice. Just being
Really?
honest.
There's fake
Sorry.
nurses out there? What is that?
Okay, sorry. Okay, no, nurses are great. We are great. But but anyway, you kind of have to be fake to a extent. If somebody punches you in the face, you can't punch them back. So that's you could consider that fake, but it's not. You're just being professional.
Mhm.
But I don't like lying. And I don't like when like people will go around the corner, like they'll be friends with you in your face, and then they go around the corner and they're like, oh my gosh, do you know what she did? Blah 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 blah. And yeah, that kind of makes me kind of feel some type of way. But I've done a good job of controlling it lately because I try not to because I'm life coaching, not let that affect me. So I like deep breathe and stuff and be like, I can't control it. I just try to focus on what I can control. But yeah, it does kind of make me like think like, what in the world? Okay, that's all.
Mm. Ladies, it was a pleasure and it was a lot of laughter. Listen to you guys share your story, share your journey. And we started off with the theme fear and we went down a couple of different avenues and we still end up at the end still laughing. So you guys have been awesome. And with that,
Thank
you
you.
tune into the Pandora's Awareness podcast, a place we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. And we got a lot of stories and wisdom from these two awesome ladies today. So you guys are making an awesome day.
Mm.